A lot of people are asking, how can we fix this country? Now the question I have is, how do we fix ourselves? See, this is a topic that's used by many to sort of divert and obfuscate the truth about how society works. And of course, society works. Now what does society do? It incorporates large amounts of people into a lifestyle. So society does work, but of course we can see that it's flawed and people are having a lot of problems. So back to what I was saying. How do we fix society? Think, how do we fix ourselves? But instead of just thinking, well, it's our fault, if we can't fix it with ourselves, then why blame society? Society has a part too, a huge part, massive part, way bigger than we could ever ourselves be. However, society is sick just like we are. So if you look at how you can fix yourself and you stop thinking about the blame that you have yourself and you just think about the real causality and you actually think about how you might go about helping yourself. Now, anyone who's tried to help themselves knows that you really can't help yourself. The whole idea of self-help is ridiculous, as the person that wrote that book is the one helping you. If you could help yourself, you would have already helped yourself. So obviously we need others, and we can't just leave this burden of change on ourselves. So what would help us? Well, what do we have problems with? Education, nutrition, exercise. People are overweight, people are underfulfilled, people are trapped, people are not financially intelligent, people aren't close enough to the resources they need, or people aren't able to have the resources they need because they don't have enough money, or they don't have enough time, or they believe they don't have enough money and time. So if that's our personal problems, how do we fix society? Well, I watched a very enlightening documentary recently where they did a certain study where they took a bunch of people with diabetes, obesity, Alzheimer's, and low-functioning autism, and they, instead of just telling them, this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do, why are you still doing it, they actually went into these people's homes, showed them all of their food that wasn't helping them, and they got rid of it all, changed their environment immediately. Then what they did is they actually were in these people's homes, took them to grocery stores, showed them the right foods to buy, showed them how to cook these foods in the right way that was best for their health. And they cooked it for them, they got them to cook it, they promoted the understanding. They didn't just educate, they promoted. You know, if we want to be more educated, perhaps we should stop looking at students as being progressively less effective at learning and start looking at the system as being progressively less effective at teaching. Because the system before was set up to send us all to factories. We were meant to not know too much about the basics of anything, and we were just to learn a lot about our trade. But in school we learn a lot about the basics of everything that's unnecessary, and we didn't learn anything about what we really needed. Nowhere was financial intelligence taught, nowhere was nutrition taught, nowhere was the importance of exercise taught. These three things are integrally important to everyone's success, especially nutrition and exercise. Now the 5 pillars that I've identified, which I haven't identified them myself, I've just observed from others what successful people do that helps them and what non-successful people do that leaves them in a scenario where they don't have control. And this is nutrition, exercise, sleep, perspective, and environment. Now, if we were to simply create a school system that focused on promoting these things instead of educating about them, it would make a lot of difference. Just imagine a heroin addict. They're having trouble because they use heroin, and it's damaging their health and their lifestyle and harming their family and themselves. Now, how do we solve this problem? The traditional school system would say, educate. Tell them how harmful heroin is. Tell them, how much they're going to lose if they continue to use heroin. But as we've seen, there's a massive drug epidemic, there's a massive obesity epidemic. We're constantly complaining about how our children are less and less intelligent. Why can't we admit that it's a problem with the system, The system has not evolved where everything else has. We are evolving, but the system is not evolving. So we have new needs. We've relinquished things that aren't useful to us anymore, but we're still being taught those useless things, and we're not being taught anything new. So how do we solve this? Promotion. Health, wellness, and development promotion. Just focus on the wellness and development. Wellness is the action that creates health. Development is the action that creates growth. If we want health and growth, which we all do, the first wealth is health. The first resource is your body. So if we want these things, we have to promote them. We have to physically show people. We have to get people to do things. We have to sit there with them and allow them to ask us questions instead of throwing out a cookie-cutter version and expecting everyone to understand, and if you don't, that's too bad. A lot of the most intelligent people have a very different way of learning. They say there's visual, auditory, and kinesthetic learning styles, but what about the people that need all three of these? And don't even mention that kinesthetic learning is barely used in the school system at all. Don't even mention that we can go to college for health promotion and it's taught as health education. Don't even mention that teachers will tell us that sitting is an independent damager of health while they force you to sit in an uncomfortable chair in a classroom inside. When are we going to start having a system of education that exposes us to nutrition, exercise, sleep, perspective, and environment, no matter what field we're in? These are basic human needs, and they weren't taught in the public school system. They're not being taught in the post-secondary school system. They're not being taught in the work environment, and they're not being taught in the home. Our homes, our parents, it's not their fault. It's not our fault. It's not even the government's fault. It just is what it is. And many people say that it is what it is. It's never going to change. That's not true. Everything will change. Evolution is inevitable. It is what it is right now. And it never will be again. Everything in life follows the aspect of water. Everything is changing. Even rocks grow over time. Rocks even are alive. We are alive. We are here for a purpose, and the purpose is not to learn barely anything about anything, go get a job that barely allows us to live like a slave, be totally distracted by the consumerism of society, and never truly find anything meaningful. You know, I've pictured what a dystopia in a utopian world would be like. And you want to know what it is? Everything is perfect, everything is available, life could be wonderfully meaningful, everything's free, but we're still trapped within ourselves. We still can't get ourselves to do anything. It's like WALL-E, where we're all in these floating chairs, just getting progressively less intelligent and more obese while we have everything catered to us. But then they say, we'll stop giving people things. But that's not how it works. We don't need to be giving people too many things. We need to give them what they need, but more importantly, we need to show them. We need to guide them. We need to mentor and teach and help them discover and learn their own lessons in a guided way. You don't just throw people out into the world and say, learn your own lessons. You don't just put them in a classroom and say, this is the lesson. What you do is you create an environment that teaches. You create an experience where the student learns through the experience, through their own inevitable actions. If we want the world to be a better place, we need to promote wellness. If we want life to be worth living, we need to promote development. If you're well and you're not developing, you're unhappy and you're healthy. It doesn't do you any good. If you're developing but you're not well, you're happy but you're not healthy. That doesn't do you any good. We need wellness and development promoted within our school systems, within our communities, within our families, within our minds, our hearts, and our souls or spirits, whatever. I'm not a religious person. I simply believe be good to others, be good to yourself, just be a good person. Help people. It's not so hard. There's so many people out there, even if it's only 1%. You know how many people that is out of 8 billion? It's ridiculous how many people know what they're doing and still how many people don't. Because we live in this society of consumerism, and elitism, classism, where we think if everyone else rises up, then we won't be so high off ourselves. But what we don't realize is that we're all suffering. Every one of us is suffering. The fear of people rising up from below you is just as much of a fear as not being able to rise up. It's all the same. We're all the same life force on this planet. To not educate, to not promote the wellness and development and well-being of each other is just ridiculous. If we have a world where everyone is given the experiences to help them develop, to help them be well and healthy, to educate them, not to use them as a resource to make ends meet, but to actually nourish people, to nurture people, the communities, and the world, to give back to the planet. We would have people inventing everything. We'd have a cure for cancer. Not that cancer needs a cure, because the prevention is easy. Cancer survives off glucose. If we stop eating glucose, there's no cancer. There's so many solutions. Every problem is already solved. And if it hasn't been solved, it hasn't been identified as a problem. But that's because there's so many other problems that are already solved that we're not solving. We're not enacting these solutions. So if we actually, promote people's health, wellness, and development, we promote wellness and development for everybody. We get everyone clean drinking water. We get everyone food. We get everyone solar power. We get everyone, resources in their area, help set things up better for people instead of setting it up worse so they have to pay us money that never existed in the first place so that we can go take all their resources. What do we need them for? We don't need any more resources. We have the most important resource already with us and we're wasting it. All we need to do is, if you know what you're doing, if you're well, if you're developing, if you're a happy person, if you live a meaningful life, show other people how to do that. Don't just tell them about it. Bring them under your wing and show them, guide them, help them meet each other. We all need to connect. We all need to stop thinking of ourselves as separate. We are all one life. We are the planet. We're not destroying the planet. The planet will destroy us. We'll destroy ourselves before the planet is ever destroyed. The planet will not be destroyed. Even if we nuke the planet, it'll still be here after we're all dead. We don't have to worry about the planet. We have to worry about us. We have to worry about nature. The worst thing that the world's going to do is it's going to replace humans with some other sort of mechanism for evolution and advancement, Really? If we stopped polluting, if we started using solar energy, if we stopped wasting so much, the world would be a better place. We don't have to worry about it being destroyed. Fear is an illusion. But it could be a better place. It can be. And it is a better place than we believe it to be. The world is negative and it's positive, but if we focus on the positive, and instead of just acting like the negative doesn't exist, if we bring the negative into the positive and purify it and change it, manipulate it, alchemize it, one little bit at a time. It's like fighting a war with 10 soldiers against 1 soldier. If we have 1% of the entire world as positive and doing well, and we expose a little bit of people to that at a time, and we take them under our wing and we nourish them, and we make them successful like us, and we learn from them, and we learn about real world values, and we actually stop trying and start just doing, just committing to helping each other, this world will be a much better place. Peace.